Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone's well today. We're going to continue our look at communism. This is called The Price of Communism, Part 2. Now, it's interesting. You know, a lot of the genocides and a lot of the regimes we study are all dead and gone. But not communism. It's still with us. In fact, there are a few communist countries today. You don't have to look too far. You don't have to look back in old dusty history books. They are alive and they exist today. Two of these countries that we're going to look at are North Korea and Cuba. Now, first, North Korea. It is one of the most closed societies, if not the most closed society in the entire world. A freedom of the press watchdog actually ranked it last in the world in terms of freedom of the press and suppression of the arts. Its leader, as you probably know, is Kim Jong-un. Now, Kim Jong-un, as of me speaking to you right now, there is something going on in North Korea that no one, not even Donald Trump, knows what's going on. No one has seen Kim Jong-un in a number of weeks. It is reported that he went into the hospital for cardiovascular surgery, but we don't know. So the state, as I'm telling you this, of North Korea is completely unknown. That said, I also must remind you that all of the things I'm about to share with you, I am not 100% sure they're true, because even the most ardent researchers have to admit they're not 100% sure, because as I said, it's a closed society. No one's getting in and no one's getting out. So Kim Jong-un, again, no one even knows exactly his age. They do believe he was born in 1983 or 1984. He loves basketball, American popular music, and pizza. He also loves smoking. But it's his love of basketball that's legendary. Currently on Netflix is a show called The Last Dance, and it's about the Chicago Bulls of the 1990s. Dennis Rodman, very famous basketball player, is one of Kim's favorites, and they often visit. He, Kim Jong-un, is the grandson of Kim Il-sung and of the son of Kim Jong-il. Now, people really started to wonder because he missed the April 15th national holiday, which marks the birth of his grandfather and, of course, the beginning of what they call the Kim dynasty. So Kim Jong-un, as I said, no one really knows his exact age, started out, he had this on him, this son of this dynasty, and so he went to Switzerland and was educated there under an assumed name. No one really knew who he was. Students remember his love of pizza, and he played basketball. It wasn't very good, but he practiced the hoops all the time. He went to Switzerland, he came back, and upon the death of his father, he became the supreme ruler of North Korea. He represses the population there brutally and mercilessly. They have concentration camps or prison camps, we know. One of the things that's unique to North Korea is the punishment system. We think that if you commit a crime in North Korea, not only you suffer, but your children and grandchildren are also punished. So it's multi-generational punishment. Kim is very much like Stalin in his paranoia. It is said that he had his uncle killed because he felt that he was undermining his power. He also, very famously, and we know about this because this was out in the public, he had his stepbrother or his half-brother killed in a very bizarre poisoning in a Malaysian airport in 2017. So Kim Jong-un is very focused on getting North Korea on the map. He is focused on having nuclear weapons, which of course is antagonizing the West greatly. Even China is saying, whoa, hold off there. Stop antagonizing the West. 40% of the population of North Korea are in the military. So it's a very militaristic, closed society. And it is said that upon the death of a leader, people are just completely incapacitated with grief. They're weeping, they're wailing outside because these people are like gods. It really is a unique society and a unique system in its terror and its brutality. It is said in North Korea that if you don't show enough grief during a funeral of a great leader, or enough applause during a speech from a great leader, you could wind up in
a concentration camp.
We did start to see some thawing, as you would say, perhaps, in the relationship with the West, especially during the last Olympics. You see, North Korea could not actually put a hockey team together, so they actually combined for the first time since the Korean War. North and South had one hockey team in the last Winter Olympics, which was historic in itself. And in attendance, Kim didn't make the Olympics, but Kim Jong-un's sister, she was there. And it is said that she will in fact, or could in fact, take over if something were to ever happen to Kim Jong-un. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to watch the news. I've included two video clips, two very, very good video clips on the leader, Kim Jong-un, and also who is this guy and what is going on currently with his health. Cuba, ladies and gentlemen, is probably one of the most accessible countries because so many Canadians vacation there, like at Veradero and these resorts. They're beautiful, absolutely. However, it is still considered a communist country, once ruled by the mighty Castro regime. Fidel Castro, the dictator, in fact, the longest-serving dictator in history, died in 2016. His brother, Raul, took over, and now the state of communism in Cuba is a little tenuous. Will it last? Perhaps in our lifetime, it will collapse and it will become a democracy. We just don't know. But in 1959, communism caved to Cuba. One of the leaders there that helped Fidel Castro gain power was a very, very, very legendary figure in the communist revolutionary world. His name, Che Guevara. Ernesto Guevara was born in Argentina. Che is just a nickname. Che is just a greeting in Argentina. It just means hi. So, ladies and gentlemen, this young man was born into privilege. He went to medical school. He actually became a medical doctor. But something changed in him. He was always, his parents instilled in him that you have to help people. But what changed him was that him and his best friend took a motorcycle trip up through South America to Cuba and up to Florida and back again. And it really struck him, the inequities between the rich and the poor. That means poor people and rich people, there just didn't seem to be any movement, and it just seemed like the rich, to Che Guevara, were exploiting the poor. And so it is on these travels, this motorcycle, this legendary motorcycle trip he took through South America, that really he became a communist revolutionary. He read Marx, and he was dedicated to trying to lift the poor out of what he believed was an exploitive situation. So the legend, there are so many with this man. He is once said that on his trip, he was on one side of the river, and he asked someone, what is that series of buildings across the river? And they said, well, that's a leper colony, but don't go there. The river is filled with piranhas. Undaunted, he swam across the river and, of course, administered, as being a doctor, to the people in the leper colony. Now, it is a legend. Whether it's 100% true, I don't know. But it does add to the mystique of this man. He, of course, if you go to Cuba, he's on every building. He's on mugs. He's on T-shirts. He is absolutely everywhere. He helped Fidel Castro topple the corrupt Batista regime in Cuba. They felt that much of the land, and it actually was under foreign domination, and they wanted Cuba for Cubans. Now, did he do some good things? Yes. In fact, he improved the literacy rate, and this was much of Che's project in Cuba, from about 60 to 70% to 99%. Some of his policies didn't work, though, and he was also in charge with routing out the enemies of the state, those people that were loyal to Batista and were traitors to the communist regime. He had them shot. In fact, he presided over these shootings himself, these firing squads. So Che went off. He kept this idea of this revolution alive. Unfortunately, his life ended in Bolivia. He was captured and, of course, executed. But right to the last day, or last minute of his life, he was a dedicated communist. You see, he was held by his captors in Bolivia in a shabby schoolhouse. And all he kept saying was, this is the worst schoolhouse ever. You people have got to raise your standards of education. Right before he was executed. So, my question to you, my students, as I said, He's on t-shirts and mugs and posters everywhere. His face is recognizable. Should we keep this man's face on our t-shirts? And should we have souvenirs of this guy? So I'm going to leave this one up to you, ladies and gentlemen. Che Guevara. Was he a hero revolutionary? Or was he a brutal, brutal dictator and murderer? I'm going to leave that one up to you. I'm going to leave that one up for you to decide.
Oh, would you look at the time? If any of you are interested in finding out more about the life of Che Guevara, check out Motorcycle Diaries. It's a feature film, and it tracks the early years of Che Guevara. Also, there are many documentaries on Netflix that you can check out with you and your family.
So, I hope you're having a good day. Remember, study hard, don't panic, and be well. I'll see you soon.